you don't need to know that because I am not the person you're here to see. But before we bring out our wonderful four guests of honour, how many people have been to one of the panels that I've hosted before for a Q&A? Wow, okay, and you came back. That's very kind of you, thank you.
Yep.
How many people have done the whole postcard thing? Because we're doing the postcard thing. You have? Well, okay, cool. You're a veteran of Nightmare Nights, by any chance?
Yes.
There we go. So how this works. Wonderful, Jessie. How about a huge round of applause for Jessie, by the way? We'll be distributing note cards and golf pencils. If you have a question for our wonderful guests, please write it down on the card and put your hand in the air, or just signal for Jessie, and they will bring up those cards to me. So we've got a good hour and a quarter. I will start the conversations off, and then once enough cards have accumulated up here, I will start sifting them through, and we will see what our guests have to say in response. And while Jessie is handing those out, shall we welcome our guests to the stage one at a time? Oh, okay, let's try that one again. Shall we welcome our wonderful guests to the stage one at a time, yes? All right. First up, the force of nature and eternal Trotcon guest, the one and only Ellie Ray. The one and only Ellie Ray. Oh,
I'm coming. I have to do my thing. I forgot my stuff. That's what I like to hear.
How about a huge round of applause as well for Brian Dauchois? Fabulous IBW artist extraordinaire, Tom Zala. And last but certainly not least, for her very first convention Q&A panel at her very first convention, Bahia Watson. All right, so those question cards are getting distributed. People are writing down their questions. In the meantime, let's talk. How are you all enjoying the con so far? And here I'm, of course, looking at you because this is your first con, and I'm so excited that you're here. Are you all excited that she's here?
Yeah! Better hear the castle, am I right? Said better hear than in the castle, right?
Better here than in the castle.
Oh, yes. I'm having a great time meeting such lovely, kind, wonderful, interesting people, and I guess we're just getting started, so thank you. Yeah! Showing me so much love and welcoming me everyone.
Now, Brian, I wanted to talk to you as well because we were talking earlier and you mentioned that this is one of your first cons back, but one of your first pony convention was an online convention during the height of pandemic lockdown.
I did a couple in Vancouver. I did BronyCon at first, but that was like in 2017. That was my first experience. But my first Trotcon experience was online in 2020.
Let's just pretend that's what I meant.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it was a good time. It was a really, really good time, and I'm really happy to be here. So thanks everyone for having me.
You can applaud them. They're cool people. You can applaud them. Tom, you've been to a good number of these now because you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're an Ohio.
I am.
Are people allowed to know that?
Yeah, sure.
He's an Ohio local. How many other Ohio locals do we have?
Yeah, I'm from up near Cleveland. Yeah, I live right on the lake.
Fantastic. And Ellie Ray?
What?
I've lost count of how many Trotcons you've done at this point.
I'm a fixture.
I mean, you keep Trotcon going when Trotcon's supposed to. The 2020 closing ceremonies are still not done because of you. You're keeping them going.
Lifer, the Trotcon family.
So, while those cards are going out, I want to start with the perennial classic question, which is just how did you first discover your love of your particular vocation? And Tom, I'm looking at you as a wonderful artist, and I'm looking at the rest of you as wonderful performers.
I have no memory of ever not wanting to be a cartoonist. My dad was very Machiavellian. He read a book that said that there's no reason a 2-year-old couldn't read, and I'm the oldest, I'm the one they wanted, and he did phonics pages with me, 3 pages a day, to teach me how to read, so that I would get to the point where we're like, let's do more, Dad. He's like, no, we'll do more tomorrow. So I was reading real early, and he used comics as a reward system. So they had a really well-behaved kid, and I had a lot of comics. And art was just always in the family, so I've never wanted to do anything else.
Remember any particular comics that caught your young attention?
I remember, I think there are 2 issues of Superman that I still have them, the Man Who Cried Super Wolf and one with a super watch. Those are the ones I remember having first, but I know that I've read them before because my dad had them. My dad went into the hospital before I was born and Mom got him a bunch of comics, and yeah, it was always around. Like, it's just been very circular. Like, it's the closest thing to being a Jedi and having somebody come and do your midichlorian count. I'm like, well, we know what you're going to be now. You don't have any choice in it, except with all the killing and the stuff.
I love that that's the note you end on. Thank you. Leah.
How did I get into it?
How did you first get into it? When did you first realize that this is what you wanted to do?
I started as an actor, just like I started being an extra, and then I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. Then I started taking classes, and then I got into theater, and I was doing theater for a while, but kind of a constant throughout my whole life. People are like, you should do cartoons. You have a cartoon voice. You seem like a cartoon. And so I was like, okay. And then I just kind of started auditioning, and it all opened up for me, and it's like the funnest thing ever.
Did you start performing then as an adult, or was it something that happened in childhood?
As an actor, I started performing as an adult. I was doing like dance classes and stuff as a kid, and like my sister's a singer, so there's always been kind of arts and performing around. But I had always thought I was the academic one in the family, and then I kind of was like, actually, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be an actor. So my mom took some time to get acquainted with this new direction.
You've anticipated my next question, but Brian, how about you?
So I always loved cartoons as a kid, right? And I thought when I was very young that the cartoons actually lived inside of the TV. Until, who here knows what Dragon Ball Z is? Yeah, Dragon Ball Z! One of the first voices of Goku, by the name of Kirby Morrow, may he rest in peace, he went on like TV and did the voice of Goku, and I went, wait, that's an actual career. These are actual people doing the voices. I want to maybe look into doing that, right? Because I know so many people in the industry that just kind of fell into it, right? But for me, when I was about 14, 15 years old, I knew that this is what I wanted to pursue. And so I worked really hard and practiced a lot. I had a really crappy desktop microphone and a free recording software that I just practiced a lot when my parents were at home when I was a kid, and I got lucky. An agent showed up at my school to talk about how to get into the industry as a film and TV actor, and I asked her, hey, do you rep voice actors? And she goes, I don't, but my friend does, send me your stuff. And I went, great, cool. And I walked away going, I have no stuff to send. And so I made something and I sent it off, and I got signed a month later, and just kept working my way up basically through the ranks in Vancouver, Canada, is basically what happened. It's my origin story.
Other than Dragon Ball Z, were there any other cartoons that were particularly formative for you?
Teen Titans, Transformers, lots of anime. Grew up watching a lot of anime. We had a Friday night Canadian channel that would air a lot of anime on Friday nights called Bionics, and I used to watch that a lot as a teenager. It was a lot of fun.
And Ellie Ray. It's hard to imagine you not having sort of been performing since you appeared in the world.
You know what? I am a cartoon. I came out. Reality to me is there's a kind of a veil. So I feel that all of the kinds of things that I did as a very young child, and everybody told me I was imagining things, and all my friends were not really there. And I had a very complex creative world that I danced in as a child, and I think it just carried on and it never really changed. I just found myself always doing, telling stories, which is basically what every show that I've ever done is. But it's really, I think, like Bahia being theater trained sort of initially as a, you know, the business part of things. It's the ability to entertain and bring joy to an audience. It's because of you, it's because of what, you know, you represent, that I think it's that connection, this kind of thing where you go, oh, wait a minute, I want to tell stories like sit around fires, singing, dancing, and telling fable like I did as a child, because there's people and creatures and things that want to partake in the story, which is what that is. It starts as a big sort of a theater love fest. It starts as, you know, you receive the story, we keep giving the story, you are a part of the folklore of the story, and then we all kind of celebrate together because we ignite each other. It's that kind of ignition that I think is so key to healing us as human beings. It's exactly what we all are doing here, and I believe that you all are imaginative, creative storytellers as well. You just haven't, you know, you're just not up here sitting here answering the question. But I think you're just the exact same as us. You just are part of the story in a different way.
The love and warmth and kindness in that answer is exactly why you keep being asked back to Trotcon. Am I right, folks?
Yay! We love you!
Got another question actually here for you, Ellie, and thank you to everyone who's been sending up the questions. We'll do another round of note card distribution in a moment or two. But Ellie, how much glitter do you buy for each con, and why do you love throwing glitter? P.S.
Because
you are
I am
amazing.
told I'm not allowed to, and I'm a rule breaker. So what I do is they go, no glitter. But the wonderful thing about glitter and sparkle is it's celebration, and it captures the light in such a beautiful way. And most of the fans will, you know, talk to me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever and go, you know, 2 months later, I found a piece of Ellie in their clothing, which I absolutely love. So it's not like an autograph. It's something that hides. I don't know, there's somebody who was at in the autograph, or one of the fans was there, and I'm not supposed to throw glitter, even though I promised to clean it up. But so I'm saying, lift your shirt out, and I'm pouring it down people's shirts and putting it in their pants, because I'm just, as far as how much glitter, there can never be enough glitter. There will never be enough glitter! And that's what I was wanting to say. So I'm not supposed to do it in the convention center, but tomorrow, because I have bags of it, as you're coming into the convention center, I'm going to be there glitter bombing you outside.
I have to ask, I mean, there were some members of the press outside earlier. Did you throw glitter on them as well?
I wish I had seen members of the press. I would have totally pressed them with glitter, yeah.
So I've got a lovely question here, which was, what was your first "this is it, I've made it" moment?
Who's that for?
That's for all of you. You can all chime in. Or I'll have to choose someone. I'll have to pick on someone like
Unless you haven't made it yet.
Well, I mean, imposter. Well, okay, we can do the flip
I'll
side
tell
of
you
that.
when I knew I'd made it, when I was still breathing. You know you've made it in life when you are still breathing. That's my take on life. So made it as a star or as a whatever. It's sort of like you're a star just being exactly who you are, breathing and a part of it. That's what I think anyway. Ta-da! Huzzah!
We'll add that to that. If none of you feel like you've made it, then how do you deal with your imposter syndrome on a day-to-day basis? Any tips?
Well, I would say, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it would be to make it. I mean, it's just like it's an infinite journey, you know? There's always something else.
There's something else to make it.
There's always something else to learn. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, as an artist, you're kind of never fully, or feel like, okay, and now I'm here, and now I've arrived. I think there's always something else that you want to, I don't know, your curiosity is kind of.
Well, it's like every new character you do, it doesn't make it mean it's a better character or a better you. It's just another part, like you said, of the journey. So to make it, it's like we're constantly making it. It's creativity. It's making it every single time you do a character, right?
And every character is like beginning again. Every time you start a new project, you're like, oh, do I even know how to do this?
Yeah.
Can I even act? Like you're kind of rebuilding it all over again every single time, it seems.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get complacent. Like, you don't want to solve the problem the same way every time. You want to figure out a different way to do it to keep growing as an artist. Like, I've said it's why I'll never get a tattoo, because if I did, it'd have to be something I drew, and I would hate it 6 months later. As for making it, I walked into this convention and people were chanting my name, and that was pretty cool.
That was a fabulous entrance, I have to say.
The one thing that happened with me is I went freelance at the end of 2001, and when I bought a house, like when I realized I was stable enough to do that kind of stuff, because it was still a leap of faith to go from my day job, I was an art director, to go from that to having my own business and doing that full time. But once I did that, and you know, like it snuck up on me, because it edited my history. I have to remember that I was an art director for a few years. Like, I don't remember that part of my life. It feels like those 10 years weren't there, and that this is just always what I've done. I forget the anniversary of me going off on my own every year, because it just seems so natural now. But yeah, past that, you never make it to the top of the ladder, you make it to the bottom of a whole new ladder, so you have to keep figuring it out. It's from The Flash. The comic book, not the TV show.
You could have just said it's yours and you came up with it on the spot. I'd have believed you.
I would, but Mark Wade would have hunted me down and killed me, so.
Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, the one thing that I've been really trying to work on is just trying to stay present in what it is that I'm doing, because I sometimes feel, in this business, it's so it's tough to stay present, because you're always looking to what's next sometimes, and you can get really easily caught up in, okay, what's the next thing, versus what if we just stopped and celebrated what I'm working on, or what we have, right? And focusing on and just finding joy in what it is that we get to do. I mean, one of the things that I used to say to myself a lot when I was younger, and I get anxious and panic and all that stuff, and one of the things that I would always remind myself that would always, for lack of a better word, ground me, is I would say, I sleep in a bed that I bought with money that I made as an actor. And that's good. We're doing okay. So let's just keep moving forward, let's breathe, and let's just celebrate as things come along.
And that's the word, it's celebrate. Like every single one, every pony here have made it. Every single pony here, you've made it. You've made it. I mean, we're right here, right now, celebrating together. Friendship is magic, bing bong.
Bing bong. Bing bong.
And I mean, what does it mean? We're here, actually celebrating. I love that word, because if you can think of moments in your life when you're like, it's that glitter moment, right? And you go, wait a minute, it's right now. It's right now. We can make it now when you've made it. We've made it. This moment is so beautiful that we're here together, going, yay, glitter, bomb, magic, bing bong.
Bing bong. Bing bong.
Yeah, it's about this, right? Like, it's about,
Yeah.
These moments of connection. So I want to dial it back a little bit to your experience with My Little Pony, and whether or not you had any experience with it in your life prior to having become involved in the franchise in your various ways. Was it a part of your childhood at all? Were you forced to watch it by siblings? Did you secretly watch it yourselves? Did you openly watch it? What is your background with Pony? And I know, Ellie, you were on some of the earlier gens, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no. The only reason I am here is because of Tabitha St. Germain. Because I didn't know My Little Pony. I was usually locked in a basement and beaten as a kid, but no, I didn't know the show. I didn't know anything, and I used to cat sit when she would go to conventions, and she would come home with this, suitcases filled with T-shirts and artwork and plushies and stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? This is awesome. What is it? She says, My Little Pony, and I went, I've got to be on that show. I've got to be on that show. I love all this stuff. What is it? What is it? And I looked it up, and I was in Vancouver, and it was recorded in Vancouver. The 10 years it was The Last Generation. And I'm from Toronto, so I would never have an opportunity to ever audition for this show. But I was in Vancouver, and I said, I'm making it happen. I'm manifesting this. I'm going to be on My Little Pony, My Little Pony, My Little... And sure enough, I got an audition from Ralph in Vancouver, and long story short, I got cast in to Change a Changeling first. I played those changelings, but then I got cast as Miss Domain, and the rest is history. And then I remember when I went to my first convention, I was like, I have found my people. Literally now, I'm in heaven. Oh my God, this is my life, and I'm never leaving it ever, ever.
Well, we're very happy to have you.
Oh.
Brian.
I was just in love with that answer. What was the question again?
Right, we can just let Ellie take all of them. Experience with Pony prior to working on Pony.
All the actors in Vancouver were talking about it, right? Because we went, 9 seasons, a mini-series of Equestria Girls, 4 movies, a giant theatrical release. We did so much in Vancouver, right? So everyone was talking about it. And so whenever I would audition for the show, I'd get excited, right? Because, it was one of the most long-standing projects in Vancouver for a really long time. And, I say this at every, con that I go to. The reason why I'm on My Little Pony is because all of you kept it going for like 10, 12, 15 years, or however long it was. Still, right? And so, it's still going, right? We got Gen 5 now. And so, booking the role of Timber really kind of helped solidify me, in a sense, in the Vancouver community, which I'm really grateful for the fandom for that, right? But I remember going, I got the role of Timber Spruce, and I'm gonna play Pony. And I watched Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks, which was the movie prior to Legend of Everfree, just for research, right? And it was really well done. And I went, but they're not ponies. Well, I'm playing a human. I'm not playing a pony. Okay, I had no idea. I had no idea until I watched the movie prior to the one that we worked on. So that's more or less my experience.
Well, I definitely watched some, early generations of My Little Pony. Me and my sister used to watch it. We had the little toys and used to play with My Little Ponies, and so it was just always there as this, imaginative space. And I remember I swear I had a little, we called her Cascade. I don't know if we just made up that name